Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is video number 3 out of 3-part series of how to have time for the things that matter, where we will cover 2 main productivity drains and how to avoid those to boost your productivity. In video 1, we spoke about productivity concepts that you have to embrace, built on some self-awareness, how to spend our 168 available hours in a way as productive as possible. In video 2, we developed understanding of main disciplines and tools such as prioritization and scheduling methods. So now let's talk about 2 main productivity drains that are stealing time from you: procrastination and lack of focus. I'm Anna Lehman, personal performance coach, and this channel is all about personal growth and getting 1% better every next day. I can guarantee you that if you follow the steps that I'm talking about in these videos, the tips that I'm sharing here on how to unlock your potential and start taking action, you will elevate your life to the next level. So don't forget to subscribe for more. Productivity drain number 1, procrastination. I can't remember the day when I wouldn't hear from at least one person, "Anna, how can I stop procrastinating? I just can't seem to move forward with the things that I plan to do." I spent quite a bit of time to understand the roots of procrastination in my life, read a lot of research and material on this topic, and here is my take on it. Before we talk about procrastination, it is important to mention that some people confuse procrastination with something not being a priority. However, if you checked your priorities, if you put this on your action list, but still do not take action and postponing taking action, this might be the moment when you're actually losing the momentum due to procrastination. You cannot eliminate the tendency to procrastinate fully, as this is part and parcel of human's nature and it has psychological reasons to it. But you can learn how to minimize the adverse effects of that and how to manage procrastination. And what I mean is that you must have a particular framework around it, and it will significantly reduce your tendency to procrastinate over the period of time. So let's have a look at that framework. Step 1, you need to build self-awareness and catch that moment when you start procrastinating over the task that you plan to do. Step 2, you then need to ask yourself a question. What emotion am I trying to avoid by not taking action? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear of disappointment? Is it the fact that you do not want to go through the discomfort because you're beginning something new, you're starting something new, and you're realizing that you are a complete novice? Whatever this might be, there is a particular negative emotion hidden behind it. And once you understand it, it is how they say in medicine, once you identify the right diagnosis, it is 50% of the cure. It means now, instead of beating yourself up or ignoring that state, you will have a clear understanding of what that negative emotion you have to work around. You can read more about it in the book Solving the Procrastination Puzzle, written by Timothy Parchell. My favorite quote from this book is, "Procrastination is less of a problem with managing your time, but rather a problem with managing your emotions." One of my most recent examples of my procrastination is when I had to work on my website, but I was postponing again and again, week after week, what I had to do. And I realized that the negative emotion I was trying to avoid was the fear of unknown. I didn't know what to write, I didn't know where to start, but once I understood it, I built a particular plan, action by action, step by step, and started to move forward. Small steps every day, that is what really matters. Step 3. When you have answered those questions, ask yourself why I was planning to do what I had to do in the first place. What is my real why? And I would probably say that this is the most important step. This is your biggest tool to help you to reduce the levels of procrastination and start taking action. In my example of building my website, I knew that my why was to launch my business and to serve as many people as possible. And having my website was one of the important stepping stones in the process. My why was extremely strong and it pushed me to take action in the end. If your why is weak or you are not clear, I would suggest you go back to your goal, go back to your action plan, and revisit your commitment levels. Step 4. If you understand that your why is really strong and solid, but you are still avoiding taking action, ask yourself a question. How does this inaction really help me? Remember, the real power comes from taking action, not from thinking about it. Step 5. Take small steps to complete the task. The size of discomfort is what is fueling the procrastination. Be it a work task or a personal task, real productivity gurus have bias towards breaking those big, monstrous tasks into small steps. Going back to my example with my website, once I broke it down and decided to write small paragraphs step by step, rather than just one whole holistically built content, I started to progress with my goal. One of my favorite tools that helps me to stop postponing difficult tasks is the eat the frog first concept. Mark Twain had a metaphor for getting hard things done first. If you have to eat a live frog, do it first, and everything after that will seem much easier. By doing one of the hardest things first, you will bump up your self-belief and will get that sense of achievement. I have also introduced this concept to my 12-year-old preteen who always would leave the hardest things towards the end of the week. Now, for example, when she tries to postpone her swimming class to Friday instead of Tuesday because she finds it hard, we talk about eating the frog. And every time after the class, she gets that sense of achievement because she did it. In that moment, when she took the action, she grew as a person because she stepped up above her weaknesses. Drain number 2, lack of focus. Staying focused is a skill to master nowadays. Productivity disciplines such as scheduling and prioritization, calendar reminders all help people to stay on task. However, despite that, many people would still lose heaps of time throughout the task due to the lack of focus and concentration. And because now we get bombarded with significant inflows of information, heaps of notifications, external distractions, it is even more vital than ever to equip yourself with those tools that will help you stay focused. So tool number 1, get basics right. Sleep, eat, drink enough liquids, exercising regularly, and understanding and monitoring your emotional state. These are 5 critical basic elements that are foundations of good, strong focus. When I start working with a client who struggles with concentration and focus, the first thing we do is review their habits. We track and measure their sleep, food, and exercise routines to start with. One of the studies published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that sleep-deprived individuals showed significant impairment in attention, working memory, and decision-making tasks compared to those who had adequate sleep. I'm obsessed with all the analytics around my sleep and always look at my Whoop that I wear 24/7 that gives me all the possible analytics in the morning, and then I make a decision and call throughout the day whether I have to go to bed earlier or whether I have to adjust my sleep patterns depending on how I slept last night. I also noticed that when I start missing exercises because I'm sick or when I have to travel, my productivity gets worse too. Exercise enhances mood and self-esteem while decreasing stress tendencies, a factor known to aggravate mental and physical diseases. Studies show that people who exercise regularly have a better frame of mind. Another thing that gets quite often overlooked by people is how they feel emotionally. How many times have you found yourself thrown off the tasks after an unpleasant conversation or after some emotionally draining tough event, for example, when your loved one is getting sick? So you need to deal with that first and be okay with the fact that until you reestablish your emotional state, your brain won't operate at the level of deep focus. Ensuring that you're looking after your basics, both physical and mental, is an important precursor of deep focus and good concentration. Tool number 2. Operate in sprints with breaks in between. Taking breaks has been linked to increased productivity. Studies such as one conducted by the Drogem Group suggest that the most productive individuals work in a cycle of intense focus for approximately 52 minutes, followed by a 17-minute break. Regular breaks allow the mind to recharge, leading to improved concentration when returning to our tasks. My whole work dynamics is built around those sprints, 40 minutes highly productive work to 15 minutes break, and then repeat those cycles a few times in a day. I think I got into that habit in high school as our classes were for 45 minutes each, with 10-15 minutes break in between. I wouldn't have known all this research back then, but I started doing that, and I think I love that flow of my day. Study for 45 minutes, break for 15. And since then, I carried that habit throughout my life. I have two conditions for my breaks though. Firstly, a lot of my work, whether as an entrepreneur or as a corporate employee, is brain work. So I try to make my 10-15 minutes breaks doing something that doesn't involve thinking. Whether it is going for a quick walk to grab my favorite cup of coffee, or chatting with someone who I like to talk to, or even unloading my washing. Secondly, it needs to be something simple, something that doesn't require heaps of effort or thinking. Otherwise, it won't be a break. For some of clients who might have ADHD, I recommend using Pomodoro technique, which is quite similar. You just shorten the time of work and you do 25 minutes of high productive, high intensity work with shorter breaks of 5 minutes. Tool number 3, redefine multitasking. The topic of multitasking has been really controversial recently. Some neuroscience research shows that multitasking might be good before starting your goal-focused directed action, because what it does is that it elevates the levels of adrenaline, which in its turn signals the body and the brain to take action. However, once you start focusing on a particular task, it is proven that you are more efficient when you focus on that particular task only, eliminating all the distractions around you. Some of the stats show that only 2.5% of people can multitask effectively. Multitaskers lose 5 to 15% of their cognitive efficiency while switching between tasks. I have analyzed my productivity patterns and I multitask for the things that do not involve deep concentration. I can cook, talk to my friend over the phone, and unload the dishwasher in between. But for everything that involves mental work, such as writing scripts for my workshops, for example, or deep connection, for example, date night with my husband, I avoid multitasking and focus on that one thing at a time. I try to always be present in a moment and fully direct my energy onto this one thing. Tool number 4, create traction to avoid distraction. In his book, Indistractable, Nir Eyal says that if you want to avoid distraction, you have to create traction in the first place. It means you have to be clear on where are you going and what do you want to achieve. You need to work off the plan, off the schedule. One of my acquaintances asked me recently, but how do you make sure you don't waste time scrolling through social media? Well, the answer is that I spend time intentionally in accordance with my schedule and my action plan. And I do have some time actually allocated every day to check my social media, mostly for work reasons. But once I use up that allocated time window, I don't go back to social media again that day because it is not part of my schedule anymore. The thing is that once you do that again and again, it becomes that healthy habit. And I am not even tempted to go and scroll through my phone. The metaphor I use here is that try not to treat your day, your available time, as some invisible, formless substance, but rather treat it as some specific non-renewable resource that disappears every second. This will help you to create that traction and direction in your life with your time. If you're still here and listen till the end, I would like to make a little gesture of appreciation for those of you who are listening to my channel and have subscribed. Please write down in the comments one struggle that you are facing that prevents you to be fully productive and have more time in the week for the things that matter for you. I will select top 5 most interesting problems and reasons and reach out to those 5 people and run a free 30-minute productivity session individually with each of you. See you soon. With care, Anna.